Hello and welcome back to this course of videos on Node.js. If you recall, in the previous videos we created a Node server and we used that server to respond to requests from the client by sending a text file. Now in this video we're going to do a very similar thing. However, instead of responding to that request with a text file, we are going to respond with an HTML file. Now I've changed the folder structure slightly, so I'll show you that. I've created a folder called My First Node App, which is going to contain all of the code for this app going forward. My first file that you see is server.js, which is our code here, which creates the server and writes all the code to respond to requests from the clients. Now I also have a folder here called public. Now this is quite a common naming convention, and it's used to hold all of your static files. So static files are HTML, CSS, and client-side JavaScript files. Now these are files that are delivered to the client in exactly the same manner as they are stored on your server. And the reason it's called public is because the public, users such as me and you, can view those JavaScript, client JavaScript, CSS and HTML files in exactly the manner that you created them. And you can do that using the Google Developer Console that we looked at in the previous video. I haven't created any CSS or JavaScript files as yet, so these folders are empty. I have created my very simple index.html. We have our header, which has our title and our viewport meta tag. That's for responsive design. I wouldn't worry about that for now. And we have our body, which has a simple paragraph tag with some text in, and I'm using the strong tag to bold this piece of text here. As I mentioned, there's no CSS files as yet, so I've commented out my call to this style sheet here. And the same goes, there's no main.js file as yet, so I've commented out my script tag here. So this is the HTML file that we will be serving back to the client when we receive our request. So if we go back to server.js, we have to make a few changes to this server.js so it serves HTML instead of plain text. The first thing we're going to do is, if you remember, we wrote the head for the response object. If you remember from the Blackboard tutorial, the response object has a header and a body, and we have to write a header field to the response object to let the browser know exactly what type of content it's receiving. But in this case, it is not receiving text/plain, it's receiving text/HTML. So that's the first change we need to make. Now the second thing we need to do is this read stream that we've created here. It's currently reading from readme.txt. Now we're no longer reading from readme.txt. We are reading within our public folder, so we actually have to drill into the public folder. So I'm going to change this to public, and then within the public folder we are reading index.html. So I'm going to change this here to index.html. So that's really it. We are now reading this index.html file, and then the read stream is going to read in our individual chunks from the HTML file. And then when, if you remember from previous videos, once the buffer is full with data, the data event is emitted by the read stream, and that actually triggers the response object, the response event emitter, the writable stream, to write that chunk to the client. And then once the read stream tells us that the reading is over, it will emit the end event, and we can then trigger the response object to end the transmission, and that basically is communicating, the response object then communicates that the writing is complete. And then we console.log here, and then we start the server listening. That's the previous code. So the changes have been made that we need to now. I'm just going to change this commenting here because we're not actually reading from a text file. We are reading, obviously, from an HTML file, but we are still writing to this response object, which, as we said, mod paternity full, is a writable stream, a writable stream that writes back to our client. So I'm going to save this now, and we're going to go back to our git bash. The first thing I need to do, if you can see I'm already in my first Node app folder, so from here I can quite easily start my server by writing node server, server being the name of this file, and we can see that the server is now listening. That's fantastic. So now if I go to Google Chrome and I go to the location where this file resides, which is, remember, localhost is the server and port 8080 is the port on which our node server is listening. We run that and we get hello world, welcome to my node app.